squeaky wheel does get the grease sometime, and it wasn't in my favor, but it was in their favor. But what really shocked me was how long this had been going on, because this ambulance was going by every day. Now, I've been in there about 3.5 years, and it's been going on that. So when we're talking cost effectiveness, not only health and safety, because they could have died and frozen to death in there, but what else was the ambulance going there for, and the cost of that, right? And it took one person to just say, I don't give a heck what you think, somebody has to do something, and he took it upon himself to do it. So I don't know what's being done. But I think we get wrapped up in who's supposed to do what and how to go about that. And people watch this maybe and don't say anything because they don't know who to say it to or how to say it. And I guess I just lucked out and got the right person at the right time and just didn't back down that somebody has to do something. So I'm very grateful about that. But the other thing I wanted to ask was, I have talked to people in the past who have been under care of agencies in town, and it's overwhelming for them. Because not only do they have one, they might have a multitude of agencies that are looking after their needs. And it's totally intimidating for them to get help because they've got everybody in their life and they don't want them in their life. Not like that anyhow. So I'm wondering how this system that you guys are talking about, the holistic system, how does that circumvent that? Like, is there a strategy that you have involved so that, you don't have a million people coming in your life that you don't really want there, but still need the help? So that's my question.
Linda's looking at me like I get to answer that question.
Well, I can answer a little piece of that question, I think. Because one of the benefits of the approach that the therapeutic courts takes is that building the wellness plan with the offender involves them, but you have somebody who is paying very close attention and working with them and who guides them through that morass of other service providers and systems. So I think in that respect, that approach helps a lot of people, particularly people who have those kinds of challenges. If somebody has FASD, for example, we'll get FASSY involved to help them, get to where they need to go and work with their wellness plan. So that's a kernel of it. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add.
The first woman that I described to you with the 3 children had what I called a full-time job being on welfare because of all the meetings she had to go to. And that's what it was. She was on the move all the time. And I don't know how she did it. I really admire her for accomplishing what she did accomplish. But what I found interesting with her was she wanted help. And people who come to First Nations court want help. They want people in their lives. So we're past the situation you've referred to. But I think a lot of it has to do with educating people and saying, this is a service that I'm entitled to. It's not that you're giving it to me because you're nice and I filled out the forms. It's because I'm entitled to this. This is my right. And she didn't know that. And I'm not being critical of her because I didn't really know or understand that when I first started this court, that people just go through the welfare system in absolute ignorance of what their rights are. And I'm not being critical of them. It's just they're so busy doing what they have to do just to get what they've got that they don't have time to learn. So the short answer to all of this is, I think one of the effective things about First Nations court is people have to come back for reviews. And I phone up the probation officer on the record in the courtroom and say, why hasn't this person been referred?
A couple of things come up for me. First, I do an activity sometimes when I'm with groups where I use some scenarios, some similar to what you've identified, of experiences that I've had with people, and set up all of our different programs that we might have in our community, and ask the people in the group to walk through this scenario. So they have to go to this place to get this service, and then at that service they're told, because they don't quite fit the rules, that they need to go to that service first so they can fit the rules to go to this service. And well, they get to that service and it's closed because it closed at 4, and so then they try and go. So, and once the group has walked through that, then we talk about it, and it comes out, the frustration of having to spend your full life negotiating systems. And so one of the things that comes up for me then is we need to think about the rules that we put in our programs that exclude people, that don't work for people. How do we change the rules to make the programs and the services more inclusive? And then how do we actually look at all of the different programs and services and say, do we need to split these all up? Do we need to split the person up into a million pieces so that they can get their services from all of those places? Or do we need to actually look at the person as a whole and say, how do we maybe serve that person better as a whole person? And I don't necessarily have the specific answers, but I think that if we take that lens, then we come up with a way that we don't break apart the person as much into these silos of services that then have rules that people are then excluded from. I think the other thing, and I'll say it again because I'll beat a bandwagon, is that you brought up, I mean, that person had a house, but they didn't have a safer or, a full, they weren't comfortable in their housing. It wasn't a house that any of us would want to live in. And until we have that for everyone, we will continue to kind of have people excluded and parceled and to not be able to negotiate all of the systems. Those are the things that come up for me.
Thank you very much. With any other microphone?
I'm Bill Thomas of the Anti-Poverty Coalition, and I don't understand why I've lost my voice, but anyway. First of all, I'd like to thank the Judge Bennett, for coming here and speaking about some very important issues. She speaks with such dignity and grace that I want to commit time in order to appear in her court. But the key thing to me in her comments was the important role of the healing plan that she insists that each person who comes before her work on, because I see the notion of a healing plan and a wellness plan as well as a reflection of the responsibilities of the individual who's in front of your court. And that is that individual has rights, and you just mentioned that often they're not familiar with their rights. But they also have responsibilities. And I thought the healing plan was just an excellent vehicle in which to exercise, identify responsibilities that the individual has, because it's really up to him or her to complete that healing plan. And the other thing about the healing plan, it seems to me, is, gosh, we have a good understanding of your problems. We have a good understanding of the deficiencies that you face for whatever reason. But you also have gifts. You have gifts to give. And we can help you with that. And here's a vehicle, a major vehicle to do that.